Welcome to Katie Calls BS, the podcast where we cut through the noise in course creation, digital products, and business strategy. I'm Katie Miller, bringing you blunt advice, real action steps, and the occasional F-bomb because building a business is hard and the BS isn't helping. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of Katie Calls BS. Last week I was driving my son to his summer workout and I saw a Cybertruck. If you know me or have seen my social media, you know I have a deep hatred for these ugly and useless vehicles. This was after a friend sent me a meme with the Cybertruck, as many friends do, and she asked me if I saw any on my trip to France. I saw one, shockingly, and I mentioned this to my son, and he asked if I had ever done an episode about Cybertrucks. Here we are, an episode about Cybertrucks and digital products. I need you to understand just how I feel about this car. I would say I like cars in general, but this one damn near ruins my day every single time I see it. It is one of the most aggressively ugly vehicles I have ever seen in my life. It looks like someone let a toddler draw a truck and they went with that design. It looks like the biggest ego trip on wheels, a rolling dumpster. The Cybertruck is not just ugly, it has been recalled so many times it is practically a recurring calendar event. The windshield wipers fail, the accelerator pedal gets stuck, the exterior panels rust, the frunk, which is a stupid name, crushes things. For a vehicle that was supposed to represent the future of transportation, hardly, it spends a remarkable amount of time not transporting anyone anywhere. I usually see solo male drivers and promptly give them a thumbs down. And yet it was announced with enormous fanfare. It was demoed on stage. It was supposed to be revolutionary. It looked like nothing that had come before it, which it turns out was not really a feature. Like, who asked for this? Before you send me hate emails, hear me out. This episode isn't about hating Cybertrucks. It's about business owners building things because they're new, flashy, and different instead of asking if they're useful. We're not calling BS on the Cybertruck. Well, yes, we are. It is BS. My SUV can do more than that stupid thing. The BS is really about what the Cybertruck represents as a whole. I have seen the exact same pattern play out in the digital product space over and over. Something gets built around a vision, a statement, a look, and the person who has to actually use it gets left out of the design process entirely. The Cybertruck is the most expensive version of this mistake. But a digital product built the same way is still a mistake. It's just a cheaper one. The online business space has its own version of Cybertrucks. People are building things because they look innovative, not because they're useful, sustainable, or because your audience actually needs it. They do it because of an ego-driven product design. The Cybertruck was not designed around what truck buyers need. Truck buyers need to haul things, tow things, to go off-road, to exist in weather, to park in a normal parking space without the person next to them wondering if they're about to be assaulted by a geometric shape. The Cybertruck was designed around a statement. It was built to look different at any cost, including the cost of actually working. The form came first. The function kind of got squeezed in around after it, maybe. Doesn't really function. And the buyer, the person who was supposed to get in it every day and live with it, was an afterthought. The same thing is happening with digital products. A business owner decides they want to create a course, not because they have identified a specific gap their audience has that a course will fill, but because they want to be a course creator, or they think it'll be a good business model, or because they heard that it might be the next thing to do, or they have something they want to teach and they have decided a course is the format for it. They build a course without thinking about their audience and then wonder why it doesn't sell. It wouldn't happen if you were working directly with your clients. Imagine a website designer saying to their client, "Let's build the most complicated website ever." Or an interior designer telling their client, "I think we should add 6 more rooms because having extra rooms is fun." A brand photographer is not going to show up and say, "You need an extra 500 photos because quantity is value." A social media manager won't tell their client, you should post 16 times a day for the best reach, or at least I hope they're not going to. But people do this with digital products. They build the business equivalent of a Cybertruck. It's complicated, expensive, attention-grabbing, and useless. Then they're shocked when someone doesn't want to drive it. The design is the entire vision. So what does it look like when you build a digital product around the buyer instead of around yourself? It starts with an entirely different question. Not what do I want to teach, but what does my buyer need to be able to do that they cannot do right now? That shift sounds small, but it's not small. It changes everything about what gets built. The problem it solves is very specific. The Cybertruck solved a problem that nobody had. The need for a stainless steel angular truck with a crumple zone-free body, literally nobody asked for that. Your digital product needs to solve a problem people are actively experiencing. Not a problem that you just find interesting or think your people have, a problem that your audience is losing sleep over, and a problem that only you can solve. The more specific the problem, the more your buyer feels seen when they find your product. Saying I help business owners grow is not a problem. Saying I help coaches who are fully booked with one-to-one clients figure out what to build first, that's a problem. One of those is going to sell. One of those is a Cybertruck. The format needs to serve the buyer and not the creator. A lot of people build courses because they want to build courses, not because a course is the right format for what their buyer needs to learn. Some content shouldn't be a course or a digital product at all. Some should be microlearning. Some should be a template. Some should be a short guide with a checklist. The Cybertruck did not ask whether a stainless steel unibody was the right material for a daily driver. It just decided it was and built around that decision. When you choose a format before you know what the buyer needs to do with what you're teaching, you're making the same mistake. You have to ask yourself, what does the buyer need to be able to do at the end of this? Then choose the format that gets them there most efficiently, not the format that feels most impressive to build. Your outcome has to be measurable. The Cybertruck promised the future. What does that mean on a Tuesday when it's raining and the windshield wiper is broken? Nothing. Aspirational positioning is not an outcome. Your digital product needs to be specific, measurable outcome, not learn about content strategy. Learn to build a 90-day content plan for a service-based business in under 2 hours? That makes more sense. Not understand pricing, but set a price for your first digital product with confidence by answering 4 specific questions. Someone is going to buy that. The buyer cannot evaluate whether a vague outcome is worth the price. They can evaluate whether a specific outcome solves the problem they have right now. Specificity is what converts. Aspiration is what gets scrolled past and people are not going to buy. Focus on the outcome. We need to address the recalls because this part did not help my hatred for this car and it ties into the analogy. We know a recall happens when a product shifts and then turns out to not work the way it was supposed to. Something was missed in the design process. Something that would have been caught if the people who were going to use it had been consulted before it went to market. Digital products get recalled too, just not in the same way. The digital product recall looks like your launch, sales are slow, and the people who do buy it don't get results. You get refund requests, you get support emails asking questions the product should have answered. You get silence where testimonials should be. It's not good. Eventually, you go back and rebuild it. Sometimes you start all over and have to rebuild entirely because what you made the first time didn't work the way you thought it would. That's the recall. It just costs you time and reputation instead of a federal investigation and frustrated customers. The Cybertruck gets recalled because corners were cut in the rush to ship something impressive. I don't think it's impressive. Digital products get recalled informally for the same reason. The creator is so focused on getting it out, on launching it, on the vision of what it could be, on what they hope it is, and they lose focus on the function for the person buying it. Here's how you avoid that recall. Test it before you launch it. Get the product in front of real people before it goes public. Not people who are just going to tell you it's great because they love you, but people who will tell you where they got stuck, what they didn't understand, what they need that wasn't there. That feedback is the engineering review that catches the problem before that accelerator pedal gets stuck. Build the support layer in. We talked about this in episode 140. The questions your buyers will have before they start, during the process, and when something doesn't work the way they expected it. Those should be answered inside the product itself, not in your inbox after. The Cybertruck needed a better manual. Your product needs better onboarding, clearer instructions, and anticipation of the most common places people are going to get stuck. You need to measure the outcomes and not the sales. In the digital product instructional design world, a sale is not a success. A result is a success. If people are buying and not finishing, not implementing, or not getting the outcome that the product promised, the product has not succeeded. It has been purchased. Track the completion, the results. Track whether people who bought it got what they paid for. That's the data that tells you what to fix before the informal recall begins. Every time I see a Cybertruck, I think, somebody bought that? I never see a family in them. A real person with a real life chose that vehicle for some reason, and they live with it. I think about their life choice every single time. I think about the gap between the vision of the person who built it and the reality of the person who uses it. I think about how often that gap exists in digital products. The person who built the product imagined a certain kind of buyer. We always do in our businesses. We imagine our products and our offers a certain way, and then there's the buyer and how they use it. There's motivated, resourceful, ready to implement, someone who would take the framework and run with it and get results and write a glowing testimonial for us. But the person who actually buys our digital products are usually really busy. They're juggling a lot of things. They're not going to read every word. They're going to get stuck on step 3. They're not going to know whether to push through or go back. They're going to need more context than the creator thought to provide. They're going to need the product to meet them where they are, not where we hope they would be. Building for the vision of your buyer instead of the reality of your buyer is one of the most common and least discussed reasons digital products underperform. The fix is not that complicated. You might not want to make it, though. You need to understand your clients and your buyers. What are they actually struggling with? Where have they already tried to solve this problem? What stopped them? What would they need to feel confident that this product would be different from the last thing that they tried? Understanding your audience, and I mean really understanding your audience and building something that has a broader appeal will change what you build. Before you build your next digital product or before you look at the one that you already have and wonder why it's not performing, run it through what I guess we can call the anti-Cybertruck checklist. The first thing is, does it solve a problem the buyer has? Not one that you find interesting. Not a, is this topic valuable in general? Like, I guess I'll throw something out there because I like this topic, but does a specific person you can describe in detail have this problem right now and want it solved? If you had to name that person, their business, their stage in business, their exact frustration, could you do it? If not, you're building the Cybertruck. The second question, is the format chosen for the buyer or for you? Ask yourself honestly, is this the right way to deliver this learning, or are you doing this because you want to be a course creator or you want to add a digital product just to add one? Is this a membership because your audience genuinely needs ongoing access and community, or because you just want recurring revenue and you think it's fun? The Cybertruck was stainless steel because of a vision, not because truck buyers needed stainless steel. Format should follow function, not the other way around. The next question you should ask, can you state the outcome in one sentence? A simple sentence, not a vague one, a specific one. Someone who buys this product will be able to do X by Y point. If you cannot write that sentence, the product is not ready to be priced or launched. It is ready to be clarified. The Cybertruck promised the future. Futures do not have to have completion dates. Outcomes do. The next question is, has a real buyer looked at it, touched it, gone through the digital product before launch? Not a friend, not a fellow creator, someone who matches your actual ideal buyer, someone who will tell you where it breaks. The Cybertruck famously had its supposedly shatterproof window smashed on stage at the reveal event. That is what happens when you skip the testing phase. Do not smash your own window at your launch event. It's not a good look. Then you want to ask, do you know what success looks like after someone purchases? Not a sale, but a result. If someone buys this and 6 weeks later, their life or business is measurably different, what is different? If you cannot answer that, your buyer cannot evaluate whether the purchase was worth it for them. They will not come back for the next product. If you can answer all 5 of those questions honestly, congratulations, you are not building an ugly Cybertruck. You are building a classic, something someone actually wants to drive. If you want help working through those questions for your specific business, what you have built, what is actually working, and where the design gaps are, that is exactly what the digital product infrastructure audit is for. You can find the link in the show bio. I still hate the Cybertruck. I'm always going to hate the Cybertruck. You can't change my mind on that. I'm going to continue to point at them in parking lots and make a face, and while they're driving, that is my right, and I am exercising it. I will give them a thumbs down always and forever. Humans love novelty, entrepreneurs especially. New ideas create excitement, and building something new feels productive. Refining something we have in our business can feel kind of boring, so we build a Cybertruck. Your digital product does not have to be that. It can be the thing someone gets in every day and feels good about. The thing that works the way it was supposed to. The thing that was clearly built by someone who thought about the person on the other side of that purchase. That's what we're trying to do. It's kind of like a reliable pickup truck, not a refrigerator on wheels. Whatever you do, build for the buyer. Test before you launch. Measure outcomes and not sales. For the love of everything, make something that does not need to be recalled 5,000 times. I'll see you next time. Have a great week. If this episode hit home, your next step isn't to build anything. It's to audit what you already have. I offer a paid infrastructure audit where I review your current offers, delivery load, and where your business is relying too heavily on you. You'll get a clear decision doc and a Loom walkthrough outlining what actually makes sense next. The link is in the show notes.